He does have an opponent as well. It is going to be playing for flip side tactics. Give it up for JonSnow.
Upon us, kill the boy, and let the man be born.
Well, he will definitely have to let the man be born if he's supposed to be taking down this man on the other side of the map. He's actually what I'd consider right now, looking at his current performance, or rather the state of how he's playing, very high caliber. He really got an upgrade. I mean, coming out of such a strong series that we saw last night, confidence at an all-time high right now for someone like Neeb.
Oh yeah, and managing to beat Polt that way as well. Man, that must have been an exciting series. Right now, Neeb is on top of the world. And as I said before when we casted this guy, there's one rule of North America: no one beats Neeb. This guy has, I think, either him or Hydra right now, because they have basically the same win rate. I think Neeb, of course, is rank 1, but they have about the same win rate, but they are so far ahead of the rest of the entire region. I mean, they have some insane percentages, and I mean, just looking at them online, I just get terrified. Now, offline, of course, Neeb hasn't done as much, but right now we aren't offline.
I mean, Neeb has always been, from what I've been told, perceived as a little bit of an online monster. It's like, that's where he shines, and it's going to be really interesting, right? Because we will see him in France. So seeing him play on the biggest stage in front of a live crowd, I'm really curious to see how that's going to be affecting his nerves, because even though you might be a very experienced tournament player, if those are strictly online, you've always had the comfort of sitting in your own, like at your own desk with your own personal computer, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden you're transported into this huge setting with lots of people watching you, then, I mean, that can completely change things. So
yeah, people tend to underestimate that, because
yeah, that's a huge element.
Yeah, because there's jet lag. You're not sitting in your own chair. You know, maybe the table's too high for you. Maybe it's too low. Maybe you don't get to use your own monitor. For instance.
It's cold in the booth. Like, so many different factors that can come into play.
Oh yeah. So actually, it's a huge difference in online offline play, of course. But you all know that. You all know that. So Lucas, Neeb here coming out. He just beat the crap out of Massa. But against JonSnow, who showed himself quite promising in his ZVP, do you think we're going to see something similar as before, or can Neeb actually find his timings before those Broodlords?
We'll have to see. The way that Huck dealt with it, he was rather passive. He had the Phoenix, but that was strictly the only tool that he used to apply some pressure to him. I really like seeing the quicker War Prism styles, not necessarily transitioning into those disruptors like Puck really likes, but something along those lines at least, that you could go for the same idea, Stargate into a War Prism opening into a third base, into Immortals, something like that. Because right now, the way that he's setting himself up, quite passive, but here we have the Stargates going down, 2 of them in fact, so we will see that Phoenix production, and this is a great way to open.
And of course right now, I mean, Neeb, he's going to be the one to put on the initial pressure. See the air weapons as well coming down here, so this is a very dedicated style he's going into. He's going to see a ton of Phoenix. Now here's the problem, JonSnow is not cutting any corners. Well, he's been droning really heavily, that's true, but he's getting his Roach Warden right away. We still don't see that lab for the Hydras, and this can get quite awkward against this kind of heavy Phoenix play that we are expecting from Neeb.
I mean, if any of you guys saw the games of Mana versus Elazer, where he dropped down that third Stargate, got the +1 air weapons, and just went into a crazy amount of Phoenix. I mean, to me, double Stargate is still kind of mass Phoenix, but you go for the third Stargate, that's a lot of money invested into that, so you really have to make sure it will work. If we see something similar like that, I think that JonSnow, if he's not prepared well enough, it would completely crush him. But still, he will have to deal with these +1 Phoenix in a very short time. At the same time, the Adepts moving out across the map, and there are not enough Speedlings to deal with this. He has to rely on the Roaches to make the defense.
You gotta pull your drones away, but it seems like Neeb doesn't want to sacrifice these. And remember, of course, these Adepts are so key when you're playing your kind of Phoenix Adept style. JonSnow, though, not getting La yet, has been focusing really heavily on his Roaches, and it's not just for defensive purposes. I'm getting a feeling here, potentially. I'm feeling some kind of pressure towards the third base, perhaps.
Yeah, and I mean, I would normally say I can see this doing a lot of damage or holding a lot of damage potential, but Phoenix...
Oh, man, JonSnow, wow, you want to go for this. I mean, I thought he was going to pressure, but man, he's just going all in with this.
He's committing so hard now, and this is something... This is what I meant. These spawning positions means that you will get across so quickly to the base of your opponent. And right now, there's no third Nexus on the way here for Neeb, because, I mean, he sees all of this. A couple of corrosive biles do go down. In fact, Neeb lost a handful of those adepts to the speedlings. But here we go. JonSnow is going to come up SC, nothing. And all of a sudden, he's going to start losing these Ravagers. The Phoenix count is steadily climbing. 6 in total right now, and 7 and 8 following very closely behind.
Oh, you cannot be losing these queens. The corrosive biles trying to hit. Nice hit with one of them, but of course won't be enough here. You really want to focus the queens right now as Neeb. If you can remove the anti-air, you're just in such a great position. A few too many queens though, using the depth to buy some more time. And JonSnow in such an awkward position. He wanted to go for this huge kind of push, but Neeb, he just has the perfect counter to it.
Yeah, completely shut down. So now he's backing home. He's adding in an evolution chamber, droning a little bit again. And as you say, I mean, it slows down so much for the Zug, and now we're going to see Neeb comfortably take a third base. He has to worry a little bit because, I mean, there was a decent number of units made for the Zug, but he's got the Phoenix. He can maintain vision of these constantly. The scouting here, there's not even going to... He doesn't even have to scout all that much, because I think that he realizes that this has been only on hatchery tech. So we see a very late lair starting right now for JonSnow as Neeb is moving across the map with these adepts.
And that's a lot of adepts. Right now, I love this. This is exactly what you need to do as a Protoss when you're getting in the depths into the natural. You need to zone with your Phoenix. Look at this. Nothing from JonSnow right now can engage those adepts. He's trying to rally underneath these Phoenix, but he's losing a lot trying to do so. The adepts right now not getting too many dragon kills just yet, but it is a bit too much.
Yeah, that's committed attack doing 0 damage to the Protoss, and then the Phoenix can continuously pick away at you and stuff like that, making it so hard for the Zerg. So JonSnow down now, 1 game away from no. Game number 2 is just loaded up, and it is going to be Ruins of Endion, ladies and gentlemen. And here we have him spawning down in the right-hand side. It is Neeb.
And of course, his opponent in the bottom left-hand side. Down 1 game. It is JonSnow. And of course, what I meant with Zest was that why I love Neeb is that he can play some really strong but also solid styles. It's not that he's trying one kind of thing over and over again that kind of just works for some reason. He's actually using some of those styles that we see from some of the best players in the world. And I want to say going for the Zest kind of a style, going for heavier depth Phoenix is actually a really difficult one to pull off. And making that work against JonSnow and handling that all in so well that you even force him not even to engage your base, it just shows you that Neeb is a horrifying player to face.
One thing that's very important to note about that specific style is that it's really figured out for Protoss. You know the strengths of it, you know the weaknesses, and it also gives you very solid infrastructure throughout the mid-game. You get the Immortals to counteract any sort of Grand Army. Immortals now so good. You get the upgrades, they scale off very well with the Adepts. You get the Resonating Glaives eventually, and then you'll fill the gaps in with Blink. The Phoenix give you map vision, they give you control and scouting. So it's just such a good, flexible way to play because you can be very reactive in PvZ with that sort of style. But now, just very briefly, I want to mention that we saw this very early pool out of JonSnow, and he's going to be able to go up to 8 or 10 lings with this. Neeb sees this, of course, but things get really awkward if you go for that Nexus first. But of course, we saw the gate and the Zealot being chronoed right now.
Yeah, and it's so important for Neeb to go for the scouts. He could have gone a bit earlier, which would have helped him so much against this. But then again, having this kind of wall off and not on the high ground is going to help him immensely. Because if you only have 1 Zealot and you're going to face 10 Lings, it will be almost impossible to micro against it. But now you have the kind of choke to help out. You have these probes being pulled a bit earlier than otherwise. And this is a very nice setup for Neeb. Nice micro here from JonSnow, gets the second probe, the first one in his own base. But of course, that bought a lot of time. Right now, we have 6 Lings and even 5. They can't do much against these Zealots.
Oh, well, this is nice. I mean, ring around the Rosie with this Nexus here in the center. Gets us a third probe kill. So, not the worst, really, here for JonSnow. And considering that he cuts a little bit of economy with these Lings in the early stages, it's always nice to sort of becoming closer to equalize the working out for the Protoss, because 16 drones now to 20 probes, third hatch on the way. He's going to be probing or droning very heavily.
So right now, JonSnow did his opening. It didn't do that much. It did the best it could, you know. Killed 3 probes in total.
Look at that gas, by the way.
Huh?
It's actually, yeah, it's walled off.
Oh, the gas.
Yeah, he can't mine from that gas. He'll have to go around the mineral patches. That's a little awkward.
That's kind of awkward. Yeah, it's gonna, you know, he's gonna have to have a. I think you don't lose way too much time. I think you lose some.
Oh yeah, he can go around the left-hand side.
Yeah,
actually.
So I think you lose some time. I think if you want to add like perfect, you could just add 4. But I don't think you lose too much. We're gonna see though. We're gonna see when he adds that gas, if he does. Of course, right now, JonSnow, it didn't go all too well for him in the beginning, so now he's adding a lot of drones. The micro, though, did kind of save him. Those early pro kills did kind of, I guess, pull him back a bit into that game that he's so willing to win.
Oh, this is nice. He will see the probe, so sort of getting the idea or the hint that, well, Neve, you want to go for a rather quick third Nexus. Robo is soon going to be finishing up here for our Protoss, and with this, of course, will lend itself to perhaps going for some sort of drop play, perhaps a quick observer to just find information. This is actually something to mention, though, that I really like with War Prism openings, is that you get a lot of scouting information with it. So that, too, is, of course, a very flexible way to open, but then you can't deal with the Overlords in the same way as if when you open with the Stargate. So if we're going to make it a competition, I mean, of course, I will always side with the Stargate players. But there we have it. The War Prism on the way. Additional gateways are going to be going down as well. And at the same time, JonSnow grabs his additional gas, starts the lair.
There we are. And JonSnow, of course, very late gas is because he went for that early pool. Now he adds that Roach Warden. And it seems like JonSnow really favors this kind of Roach style. We saw Hydra yesterday play a very kind of, I want to say Hydra heavy style. And that one is one I prefer much more because as soon as you face Stargate, you kind of have to go into Hydras. As you pointed out before, the kind of Roach styles don't really work against Stargate, but we don't see a Stargate for Neeb, we see a Robo, and it's up to Neeb to take initiative right now after that early game to put on some pressure, and with some sentries, well, force fields are always a possibility.
Well, 3 Queens, actually, all ready and waiting, so I don't think he's going to be able to make all too much happen. He can go to the low ground, though. If he gets a force field on the route, that'd be huge, but he's playing it very safe. He does not want to be giving up any sort of units with this Warp Prism. And, well, he's just going to be posturing a little bit more. Decides to go for the unload here. Going to pick off a couple of Zerglings. Some nice micro from Neeb.
Wow.
And he commits with a 5 warp in. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Cancels it.
As soon as you see those Roaches, you just cancel right away.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no way you're going to battle the Roaches. Had that been Hydra, though, you would have seen maybe a few more Lings, but you wouldn't seen any Roaches, and that warp in would have dealt much more damage.
Oh, yeah, that's very, very true. And bear in mind, you know, versus purely Zerglings, Adept Sentry is extremely tough to deal with, but this is a bit of a switch up here for JonSnow. He's going to go for those Mutalisks. Spire has started, and oh yeah, he's in the dark. He doesn't see this. This can turn very sour. Force field has to go down, but no.
No, he's going to have to pick up the sentries first. Going to lose a few of these Adept. And nicely by JonSnow, just pulling up all his units. I think he was realizing that he didn't have any vision of the War Prism. So he ran up to his base.
Very smart.
If you see the low ground, force field, like so you kind of cut off the main base and you try to attack into natural, it usually doesn't deal too much damage because of the fact that you have 2 hatcheries rallying in units, of course.
By the way, this is really smart that we're seeing out of JonSnow. He's got the 2 Ravagers ready in the main base, so in case Neeb tries to go for a big warp in, you can just drop the Corrosive Biles on that War Prism, so very, very nice. But now, JonSnow, he's got 700 gas in the bank. Spire is very close to finishing up here. And, well, he's going to be squeezing out a bunch of Mutalisks at least.
Yeah, trying to catch his opponents with some surprise. 8 Mutas in total right away. Now, though, as he's breaking down his 4th base, does Neeb have enough to really answer these Mutas? Of course, in a straight-up engagement, he's always going to be fine, but no cannons yet. We see 1 Mothership Core, but not the perfect kind of spread with those pylons. We also don't see any Phoenix just yet.
No, well, he starts the Stargate at least. I mean, that's always a good start. Now, bear in mind that we have to keep track of how heavily JonSnow is going to commit to these Mutalisks. It's very rare that we see them go below, or rather above 10 or 12. He's up to 12 now in total. He's going to find one of the War Prisms. This is very nice. And at the same time, oh, that's actually the only War Prism. At the same time, though, he's adding in more Mutas behind this.
Yeah, it's fine, man.
Bad air.
Yeah, bad air. There we go, though. Mothership Core will go down, and he will use all his energy, 200 energy into those photon overcharges. Now we're seeing more and more Mutas being added, but did he see those Stargates? Yes, he did. Did he have the time to click them, though, because he was really microing? The thing now, though, is that JonSnow is going for frontal attack. We don't see all too much yet from Neeb. It's going to take some time before he does have those Phoenix. So these mutants might pay for themselves in the short term.
Yeah, very big warping of Zealots, though, instead of going for those Blink Stalkers. He just didn't have the gas to work with. But right now, Blink is done. He's going to engage into these Mutalisks, many of them quite low. This is very smart, though, from JonSnow. He breaks down the rocks in the center and breaks down the rocks towards the third base. And suddenly, Neeb has to defend towards two fronts. He's got a cannon in the third base, though. And the Mothership Core, however, going down is a pretty big issue. Good force fields go down there, but many of those Roaches and Lings, or many of the Zerglings, actually stream on through, surround the Immortal. It is going to get down. More Blink Stalkers at the back, but there's just way too much Protoss here, and JonSnow will have to retreat for now.
He will, and although it looks pretty bad there for a second from Neeb, if you look at just the supply, for instance, you have to realize Neeb right now does have the advantage of being the defender. He does have those sentries, and with some good force fields, he can definitely shut down a big portion of the army of JonSnow. Here comes the Mutants once again. Now that we see that Phoenix production really starting to kick in. 5 Phoenix in total, more being added, and all these Mutants will be for nothing soon enough.
Yeah, well, Hive has begun, Pathogen Glands as well. Phoenix are chipping away at these Mutalisks. And bear in mind, the rocks have been broken down towards the center of the map, which means that JonSnow now has 2 angles to choose from wherever he wants to be attacking into. And Neeb has to make sure that he doesn't allow JonSnow to sort of penetrate into his side of things, because otherwise that's when things get very difficult, because he will have to deal with a lot of different angles of attack. He's got the Mutalisks in the air, and then a multi-prong there on the ground as well would make things very tough. But right now, this is great for JonSnow. He's bought enough time to get the 5th base up there to the north, and then he's also got all of the tech coming.
So this kind of forced Neeb into a very mid-game centric composition, right? We see Blink Stalkers, we see Phoenix, we see these Immortals. He's kind of stuck on this tech. Now he's starting to add more and more kind of a tech routes to this with his charge and with the +1 for his air. But JonSnow says, okay, my mid-game with those Muters is done now. I won't be able to do anything more. He's going to supercharge into the Hive, into those Infestors. I think he went, yeah, he did go for the Pattern Glands. I'm a huge fan of that. So now these Infestors are so valuable. If one pops close to these Phoenix, we could actually see all of them going down in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, you combine that with that Corrosive Bile on one of these 2 Ravagers that he has on the ground still, and that could just be all of the Phoenix. He's going to need to be so careful. Catches a single Phoenix with 1 fungal growth, will take it down. And now, I mean, Neeb sees the Infestors, of course, so he has to get some sort of response to this. Perhaps drop at that Templar Archives, get those feedbacks up and going. He's actually dropping a 2nd Robo, so he will be able to throw down more Immortals. Perhaps even see him add in those Disruptors, but no, Templar Archives have started. At the same time, though, Great Aspire, Ultralisk Cavern, because Zerg is on 10 gases.
I'm not a big fan of this, though, because JonSnow was really going to that Hive, but now he's saying, I'm going to get all the high tech I can. He's getting Ultralisk then, as you said, Ultralisk Cavern, sorry. He's getting Great Aspire, he's getting his Adder Glands. He's teching into everything. The problem, of course, being he won't have the biggest of banks. And now, Neeb, who still doesn't have that late game composition, he has a timing where he has to hit before these Broodlords, and he's got to go for it, just like we saw Hux trying to.
We actually saw exact same scenario on Dusk Towers between Puck and Hydra. Hydra trying to go in all different tech directions at the very same time, and then Neeb or then Puck just walked across the map and killed him. Things are going to be a bit more complicated, though, here for Neeb, because we have these fungal growths available to JonSnow, and he's still got a formidable army on the ground. If he can just buy time with the fungal growth here, he's going to be in good shape. But the Zealots close the gap, kill the Queen in seconds, and now this hatchery going to come under a lot of pressure. Lots of fungal growth, though, gets a decent one to start things off here, but there's just not a lot of substance, not a lot of actual straight-up fighting power in this Zerg army.
And here we are right now. JonSnow still trying to hit those fungals. He's trying to save a lot of time right now for those Broodlords. Beautiful fungus on top of all those Phoenix. But is it really enough? He's right now plummeting in supply, trying to add those Broodlords. But there's a lot of Blink Stalkers. He needs to buy time for these Broodlords. Beautiful fungals, though, keeping these Stalkers in place. So much damage, and Corrosive Bile right on top of it as well. And Neeb has to start running away. These Broodlords are so good right now.
Missed blink again there from Neeb. That was actually a really bad decision that he took there. He blinked forward, and then he got caught by the fungal growth, lost a good section of his army, and now the supply favoring JonSnow. The bases up here to the left-hand side are going to perhaps get found out, and yes, he knows. He's going to blink forward there, try to go for the kill. Voider is in production right now for Neeb. He needs to have a response to these Broodlords. The Immortals, though, get taken out, and even though he gets up here and perhaps deals with these bases, the Stalkers are probably going to all die because they're trapped into the north side of the map. And this is not good for Neeb.
Oh, definitely not good for him at all. Right now, though, Neeb finding this hatchery. Looks like JonSnow won't be doing all too much about that. Still, though, 4 base to 4 base. Nice warp in here by Neeb, trying to keep his opponent in position. But there we are. Nice fungal.
Yeah, very, very nice. Admiral Glance actually done for these Lings, though, cleaning up those Zealots with ease. Corruptors come in to find this War Prism. Will perhaps be able to take that out. Only 3 in total, though. So the one saving grace that I can see here for our Protoss is, of course, those Voiders. But there are so many Queens in combo with those fungal growths. Still going to be very difficult. But one thing that's also very nice to mention here is that he got away with many of these Stalkers, at least.
That's, you know, the one silver lining right now. But JonSnow, he's going to have to try to find that 5th base. And now Neeb, he's still kind of stuck in this awkward composition where he's adding more Void Rays, but they aren't the ultimate solution here because the Broodlords have just so much more range right now. These Blinkstalkers trying to run away. I think JonSnow, he's kind of hesitating because he needs to bring his entire army with these slow queens, and the lack of creep spread's really hurting him right now.
Yeah, like imagine if the creep spread was at least by that Silnaga Tower. He'd be so quick to get over to the side of the Protoss, but now he's going to be able to lay siege to this mineral line in the 4th base. As Neeb is trying to establish a 5th Nexus up towards the right-hand side, he's going to lose a lot of workers here in this base. He cannot hold on to this Nexus. No way, sir. Even if the Void Rays are going to be clumped up here, I mean, the fungal growths make it so difficult for him to engage, and there's a ton of those transfusions as well on those Queens.
How many high samplers do we have? 2 right now. Storm soon up. But, of course, JonSnow right now dealing with all kinds of harassment. You gotta watch out for this, though. This is the one way. Finding these Broodlords, taking out 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it enough, though? Here comes the Queens. You need to see those transfusions. Where is the path? Where's the fungal growth?
Oh, my God.
Every single Broodlord goes down. Where's the anti-air right now? These Void Rays just killing off everything, but JonSnow, of course, now coming in with the rest of his army. Great fungal growth. Here comes the Storms, though, right on top of the Infestors.
Yeah, I don't think it will be able to get away with these Void Rays. He has to retreat right now. The Queens doing so much damage. They're actually really good at dealing with these Void Rays, and only 3 remain. But that was a great way here for our Protoss to equalize things. Killing every single Broodlord is a really, really big step in the right direction for him. But at the same time, JonSnow on top of his game. He's going to find this probe transfer, kill lots of them because Admiral Glance plus 3 attack. These Zerglings are monsters, and as you can see, they're going to bring down this Nexus in seconds.
Wow. Yeah. I keep forgetting how strong Admiral Glance is, even though I'm a Zerg player. And there we are. Nexus goes down. That's a 400 million loss, and of course a lot of mining time lost for Neeb. I think even more painful though. He traded away his army. He can't remax super quickly, but Neeb, of course, JonSnow can remax in a matter of moments.
He's got the entire left section of the map completely under lockdown, and then again, a couple of good fungals do go down. No recall with this army. He will actually be able to get away with these Voyagers, but no, as I say that, another good fungal catches the remainder of them, and this is going to be Neeb on his last legs. That's a good game. JonSnow picks up map number 2 on Ruins of Endian. A great display, though, of keeping himself level in the mid-game, and then he brought it out there to finish things off.
Indeed. And,
Very
well...
nice.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be a 1-1 coming up here.
We were a little worried, you know, because it was teching so heavily there. But I mean, it did work out. Those Broodlords finishing up at the right rather at the right moment.
So the thing is,
Doug, it is going to be JonSnow. And down to the south, his opponent, it is going to be the blue Protoss, Neeb. And there we are, Alex. But just to get back very quickly, because I think it's such a key point in Protoss versus Zerg right now, where we see Zergs rushing up to those hive tech kind of styles. For Protoss, I mean, when you commit to that sort of army, especially when the Stargate support is rather late, where you haven't built a very high number of Phoenix, where you've been able to do a lot of mid-game damage with them, then you're on a timer. You have to kill the Zerg before he gets those Broodlords. And as well for the Zerg, you have to survive until you get those Broodlords, because it gets really, really difficult. And if those Broodlords are like 10, 15 seconds later, and he's forced to trade off more army to just buy more time, Neeb would be in such a much better position. But now here we are on Arena. It's a bit of a dicey map. We've talked about this a couple of times already, but if any of you guys are new to this, the rush distance is very, very short.
It is, and of course, if you want to play on this map and you like your Road to Ravager styles, why not try them out? We sometimes see Protoss like to kind of block off with a pylon just to buy some time. But often, if you want to go for that kind of roach style, you can just kill the pylon right away, get into that natural and deal some damage. So far, though, we haven't seen a lot of success with that from the Zerg players. Now, is it just me, or do you have no in-game sound?
No, that's actually both of us.
It's not on my side, at least. It's not me who's messing up for once.
Oh, there we are.
There we are. Wonderful.
So, a couple of lings out on the way here for JonSnow. He's got the speed started. I was very tense there for a moment, waiting to see if he goes for 2 more drones as he adds a Roach Warren, but he stopped mining gas. Actually, he started right away the moment that he got the probe out of the base and goes for the Roach Warren anyway, off of the back of 19 drones. 2 more on... Yep,
oh no, oh no. This is really bad for Neeb right now. He doesn't have a way to stop this pylon from going down, and adding more pylons like this means you don't have enough of minerals right away to add those extra pylons. You will need to hold this. So there we go. You see he's adding another pylon. When this attack arrives and he realizes what is happening, he can't just add those 4 in the front. So if we see these lings keep up harassing, this is actually a pretty big deal. Now, of course, 1 pylon won't end the game, but every single thing that JonSnow is getting right now is going to add up.
Yeah, this is really big. Gets in with the scouts, sees no drones in a natural, but he decides not to commit in too far. He knows there's some sort of aggression coming, but he hasn't identified exactly what it's going to be just yet. And this is very key. However, killing a couple of these Zerglings always going to help. He sees speed has finished up right now, and still, it's not very specific. He saw the additional rally of Zerglings, though, so this should give him some more information to work with. The problem is going to be, though, no wall off here for Neeb.
So the only thing he knows right now is that there wasn't that many drones in that natural. So right now, of course, speed was kind of normal timing. Everything was kind of normal timing. But now he sees your first roach. Now he's 100% certain what rush it is. You gotta be so careful. And this Mothership core, it might seem like he's just tickling some units, but those Ravagers die so quickly. You gotta focus fire though. And of course, we do have that photon overcharge. Nice corrosive bile though. Coming from JonSnow. Want to see that Overlord giving the vision though.
Yeah, that's very important, so he can continuously drop corrosive biles on those pylons. But right now, I mean, Neeb is doing a good job just keeping JonSnow back. This is very smart. The Ravager Cocoon has a lot of additional armor, and he's going to kill the pylon, forced to evacuate the natural. And JonSnow, he might actually kill this Nexus if Neeb cannot get a response. He's got additional gateways just now finishing up, but he's going to push the issue. He's pushing up this ramp.
He is, and of course he's down to 90 workers after this, so you gotta deal some damage. He wants to go for this, but right now Neeb holding that high ground. He still has a few units. Wasted his only force field though, so remember, he doesn't have any more of those for a while. Gotta dodge those corrosive bars. They're gonna be coming in, more and more often at this stage. Just rallying more speedings right now is JonSnow. But is it enough for Neeb?
Bear in mind, good focus fire from Neeb killed one of the Ravagers, so only one still in the field. Most of the links have actually evaporated, and now, all of a sudden, nothing left on the ground for JonSnow. He's rallying more Zerglings still. And Neeb, though, as he's mining from this natural expansion, so many additional minerals to pump into these extra adepts, and he's going to make the hold. He just needs to set up a pylon and safeguard his position in this game, because JonSnow has only got 19 drones behind all of this, 31 for Neeb. And if he doesn't kill him with this, that's it.
I think JonSnow should... Well, we saw more than him, so probably when he pushed up the ramp, he should have realized there was a bit too much. He was kind of tempting his luck, and he's still going for this all in. He's still going to try, but had he gone for that natural, I feel he could have tried to just expand and get more drones going. Of course, more drones before expanding, but here we go. Neeb now is going to go for the counter. You gotta watch out though, JonSnow. He will try to survive.
This can be a bit of a mistake from our Protoss though, because I think he assumes that his opponent is going to go back to droning. He comes in and sees the scouts. He's no additional drones. This is very important. He's also got a force field to work with here in this choke, so he can drop it if he wants to. There it is. He's going to trap a roach, actually. Might go down. No, but this is very scary. He's fighting in a good angle. The Lings will start closing the gap, but these depths, man, doing so much damage. But he's actually going to be able to break on through. The roaches and this single Ravager getting a lot of value out of this, in fact.
Yeah, they are, and more links are coming out here from JonSnow. JonSnow right now desperate. He knows he's lost this game.
He overstepped.
Yeah, well, if JonSnow right now doesn't end this game, though, he's out. I mean, 42 workers to 19 drones. You are not coming back from this. There's no way. You're just rallying links right now as JonSnow. We see a Phoenix started. I mean, right now, Neeb, he could just wall off his natural. You could do anything, but does he know it's going to be pure units? I mean, now he sees more and more being produced. He sees the rally. Now he knows for certain JonSnow is not going to try for any more workers. And here we go. Can Neeb hold on? He's looking so strong.
Yeah, there's a bunch of energy on this Mothership core as well. Lots of pylons in the natural. So Photon Overcharge, always a very strong option here. Has a force field still with this. Good corrosive biles, perhaps. See how much damage he can get done. Photon overcharge on the left-hand side, and this should be it. Lifts up one of the remaining Ravagers, and that's a good game. And Neeb will be your first player to qualify for DreamHack Austin